All right, let's talk Dodger baseball. Let's talk Andrew Friedman. They were in on Justin Verlander right at the end. They were in on Eduardo Rodriguez of the Detroit Tigers right at the end. They were in on the St. Louis Cardinal pitcher, Jack Flaherty, right at the end. It did not work out. I think the bottom line, and that's a really good headline you have, they refused to overpay. And I buy that sentiment. Would Verlander have been a difference maker? Hell yes. Would Rodriguez have given him quality starts because he's pitched okay when he's been available? And he hasn't always been available in Detroit. Yeah, he would have helped them, but at what price? I don't think, my gut says, they didn't want to take on $43 million next year for Verlander's contract and the option for $35 million the following year that Verlander would have opted into. They didn't want to do that. They turned around and told the Mets, you just paid a ton of money to move Max Scherzer to Texas. You pay us a ton of money and we'll take Verlander off your hands, but you got to pay the price. Mets said no to that deal. The other thing is they wanted Verlander to either remove the 2025 option or change the wording in the option that would be an LA option, not the pitcher's option. Verlander obviously said no. And the third piece of this equation, they didn't want to give up half the farm system to get a pitcher north of 40 years of age, even though Verlander is still getting it done now. That's why that Met-Dodger deal did not work out. The Rodriguez situation is kind of complex. He was a Red Sox left-hander, had success, but there were personality issues. He went to Detroit, had early success. He left them. He's got family issues. He was gone for an extended period of time. It's complicated by the fact he's got an opt-out bonus at the end of this coming season. I was told the Dodgers went back, said, you want to be in a pennant race? We need you to change the language that you can't opt out. His response, I was told, that's not what being said publicly, his response is, you want me to waive my no-trade clause? You got to pay me more money. He's already due $49 million. You know, they're standing under the flag of the union. Union gave us the right to get an opt-out clause. Union gave us a right to have a no trade. You want to change that, what the union gave us? Well, you got to pay us. Well, now that becomes an issue. And on top of that, LA, again, are you going to flip top guys in your farm system, a top hot young pitcher for a guy that might be with you 2 months and then vacates, opts out? It's a big issue. That's why they did not get done. They did make a trade right at the deadline. They got Ryan Yarbrough, who came from Kansas City, 2.14 ERA in his last group of starts for the Royals, but prior to that, high number. And again, the burning question to me, much like Barlow in San Diego, is Kansas City's got no freaking pitching. They got 75 losses this season. If Yarbrough was the real deal, wouldn't Yarbrough have been there most of the year rather than just the last 3 or 4 starts? So they did get Yarbrough. He plugs in at the back of the rotation. The key to me, it's an intangible, and I'll be the first one to say it because nobody said it. If they had done Verlander, if they gotten the changes made and they took on all that money, or if they had done Rodriguez and gotten the language changed and took on all that money, and they'd be vaulting into that next payroll tax area, they might not have money to be able to go get Ohtani. And I think that's an intangible reason as to why they didn't do something August 1st, because on November 1st, they want to be able to be a player for Shohei Ohtani. The other thing is they kept the jewels. They kept Bobby Miller. They kept Emmett Sheehan. They kept Grove, who's really struggled. They kept Pepio, who's been hurt most of the year. They kept Stone. So they kept their top 5 young pitchers rather than move them for a short rental. They saved money so they could be a player with Ohtani. I know there's a lot of heat that Andrew Friedman has taken right now, but I think you have to view just not Verlander or Rodriguez. You have to view big picture and Showtime coming back, baseball version with Ohtani, and them to be a player there. Your response?
Yeah, it's all a business, right? Everything's a business. For the player, it's a business. For the general manager and owner, it's a business. So you look at what the Dodgers did, and yeah, I mean, they got all those young guys coming up, but I still think, I mean, the Dodgers are loaded, right? I mean, they've got a ton of money. They got their own TV network. They could afford Verlander and Ohtani if they wanted to do it.
At what price from the tax? Listen, You're the one that bitched at me about April 15th and the amount of tax you had to pay.
Yeah.
Well, what about the Dodgers? You take all these contracts on, you push yourself into a different galaxy in terms of luxury tax on top of salary.
Mhm.
I mean, the Dodgers lead baseball in attendance, and the Dodgers are going to crash through 400 or 4 million again this year. But there has to be a lid somewhere where it makes no business sense. Just ask Steve Cohen what happened with the New York Mets. His 355 million payroll, he just paid 155 million to move all these contracts off his roster. He's still got to pay the tax.
Well, yeah, of course. You got to pay the tax, of course. But in the end, this is a loaded franchise that has so many financial assets that, I haven't seen their books, but my hunch is that they could have done it if they wanted to, but they were just more conservative. This whole season for the Dodgers has been sort of like, take a step back, kind of look around, think about Ohtani for next year. But as far as Rodriguez goes, I don't blame him at all for hitting the veto button on the trade, because that's his leverage point. And a lot of times they put those no trade deals, not because they don't want to go, but just so they have an opportunity to cha-ching it one more time and get more money. You can't blame them.
Would you rather be in Detroit in last place with no hope because organizationally they've been bad, or would you rather be in a pennant race at Dodger Stadium with a great Hispanic community of support that would be your fan?
Well, I think if I were in his shoes, I would have called on did what he did. Hey, give me a little bit more and I'll waive the no trade. And they should have just negotiated it out. And then he would have been here. Now, apparently his family is in Miami. And he's like saying, I want to be near my family. Well, Detroit to Miami. I mean, it's no difference than being in LA.
All right. I don't want to hear you bark and bitch about paying your taxes on April 15th.
Yeah.
Okay. From that, let's